However, I am of the opinion that AI needs to stay out of the performing arts. Generative AI needs to stay out of the performing arts. Hey, Adagers, welcome back to another episode of Adage After Hours. In this series, we discuss opera, classical music at large, and its implications on society today. So last week, when I came across two AI slash virtual reality slash classical music slash opera posts in 1 week, I knew I had to talk about it. The first post I saw, Yuja Wang, I'm not really sure the mechanics of it, but the audience members can experience a live Yuja Wang concert without Yuja Wang being there. For those of you who don't know, Yuja Wang is a world-class, internationally renowned, amazing pianist. And through this experience, attendees, they have virtual VR headsets and they can sort of walk around and like touch the piano and get really close. It's a very immersive experience. I saw the post for this on Instagram, so naturally I checked the comments to see what the general temperature was around this sort of thing. The general overall response was very negative. I think in general people's attitudes towards any sort of technology that doesn't enhance the arts, but sort of seems like it replaces the arts, people are generally against that. So, with an experience like VR Yuja Wang concert, you're getting a Yuja Wang concert without Yuja Wang being there. And so, when I saw this next post, completely unrelated, but I saw a connection. So, that same week on Instagram, I saw there was a video of it looked like the end of a performance, and the creative directing team had come out on stage and they were getting heavily booed. I mean, like, just boos, boos, boos. It was absurd. So I read the description, the caption to see what it was about. So apparently, the pronunciation of this word is I need to hear somebody say it. But at the Bayreuth Festival in Bayreuth, Germany, to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Wagner's Ring Cycle, they did a performance of the Ring Cycle. However, the creative team putting this show, this opera on, decided to use AI to enhance in some way the performance. But the AI generated images, and those images served as the background for the set, or they were the set. Essentially, performers would stand there on the stage, and the images were projected. The images were projected in the background, and those images were AI generated. And the creative team got booed heavily. Yes, that is it. Now, what's interesting is, so when I first initially saw this and saw that the creative team was getting booed, I mean, when you see a 15-second clip of an audience booing, you think they booed for the whole night, for all the bows. However, what's nice to see is that I saw a different Instagram reel or video, and the audience was celebrating the singers and musicians who performed. So, musicians and singers, they have their separate bow from the creative directing team. So when it was just the singers and musicians, when it was just their turn to bow, they had standing ovations, people were clapping. The problem wasn't with the performers. The problem was with the use of AI. That's what it looked like from the audience. The audience seemed not to like the use of AI. in generating images for Wagner's Ring Cycle. So let's talk about it. AI and AI adjacent technologies, which I would consider virtual reality and AI adjacent technology, they're here. They're not going anywhere soon. Maybe someday they will. But they are very prevalent in digital media and now in real life experiences as well, as showcased by the Bayreuth Festival's AI Wagner and Yuja Wang's VR concert experience. And so it takes me back to my days as a young music student in university. A class that I had to take for my voice degree was musicology. And in one of our musicology classes, we had an assignment addressing if AI could replace live performance, something like that. If AI could replace live performance. I think the stance that I took is the stance that I have now. Ideally, no. AI would not replace live performance, mainly because I personally believe AI cannot replicate what makes live performance so captivating. I think what makes live performance so captivating is the risk. Since you know a human being is performing, the risk of them messing up or the risk of them doing something incredibly unexpected keeps you sort of at the edge of your seat. And I think it's gratifying when you watch a performance that has so much room for error, and you get to the end of the performance and everything went incredibly well. I think it's even more gratifying when you watch a performance and maybe some things just didn't work out because people are human, performers are human. However, they came back from whatever happened, and the end of the performance, they still finished strong. I think both scenarios are so unique, and it's what makes live performance so special to me. Now, going back to this paper that I had to write for musicology, or this assignment, my stance was, although AI cannot replace live performance in terms of quality, I think because AI is faster than human beings and becoming more widespread in other industries, that it is inevitable that AI will have a place in the performing arts. So whether it's generating images for for an opera, or generating a human voice, or generating music. I have my opinions on AI generated music, but that is for a different day. When I talk about AI specifically in the discussions in this video, I'm talking about generative AI. I do think, unfortunately, AI will have a place in the performing arts. However, I hope that place is not to replace what humans can produce. I mean, personally, I can't lie, I was happy to see the backlash at the Bayreuth Festival for the use of AI. Because from the few sources that I read that covered the festival, a lot of what contributed to the backlash was that the images generated by AI didn't really seem to make sense to the narrative of the story, or at least what the narrative seemed to be. So, what's the point of using AI if it doesn't leave your audience impacted the way that you want them to be? And I know just because AI may have failed in this scenario doesn't mean people aren't still going to try and find a way to incorporate it in future operas. I would hope not. But it doesn't stop other creative teams from doing that. However, I am of the opinion that AI needs to stay out of the performing arts. Generative AI needs to stay out of the performing arts. That's just my humble opinion. But I did see some nice counter feedback to that. Actually, I want to read one. I will say that these two occasions are not the same. So the use of AI in the Bayreuth Festival versus the use of virtual reality in Yuja Wang's virtual concert experience are not the same. I take a more strong stance in the case a stronger stance against it in the case of the Bayreuth Festival. However, I think Yuja Wang is a little bit different because it's her playing and it's not like a version of her playing. I think she actually had to record herself. She was recorded playing the pieces in this concert. And then from that recording, a virtual reality experience was generated from that. However, it's still her playing. I think that's fine. I think that's a more acceptable incorporation of modern day technologies as opposed to generative AI. So when I saw those two situations on Instagram in the same week, I just thought, let me make a little video about this, bring it out into the open, see if there are any connections, and also hear from you guys. What are sort of your boundaries with artificial intelligence in the performing arts and also in other aspects of your life? I would say that in general, especially among Gen Z, the attitudes towards generative AI, there are two sides of it actually. I was going to say like majority everybody's against it, but I know that there are people that heavily use Gen AI either for their work or just for fun. And then there are others who are disgusted by the use of Gen AI. I would say I'm more of the latter. I don't want this to be a normal aspect of my life for me. I don't want to be integrated with Gen AI and I don't want to have to accept that into my life, so I choose not to. But I know everybody's different. Honestly, I'm genuinely curious what are your AI boundaries? Okay? Is Gen AI opera too far? Is it not? Is Yuja Wang VR concert? Is a Yuja Wang VR concert acceptable? Is it not to you? Yeah, I just have a whole bunch of questions. And I thought these were two good case studies or examples to use. But anyway, that's all I have to say for today. This has been, I'm Anne Marie with Adage, and this is Adage After Hours, episode 2. I said I'd workshop the outro, but I think I like what I said last time. So, like if you like the video, comment if you have something to say, and subscribe if you ever want to see me again. And with that, we'll see you next time. Bye!